Good morning. Welcome to all the media present and everybody online. Welkom aan die media teenwoordig en almal wat online inskakel. This media conference will be concluded mostly in English, but Afrikaans and Setswana will also be spoken. Welkom aan AfriForum se ondersteuners en veral ons lede wat al ons werk moontlik maak. Baie dankie. Dankie vir julle vertroue. Ek verwelkom graag ook ons uitvoerende hoof, Kali Kriel, en ons hoof van organisasiebou, William Wall. Kgosikgolo Kgafela, Kgosikgolo Kgafela, Kgosikgolo Maloko Amurafe wa Bakgatla Ba Kgafela. Lotle lo amogelwa ka mogo ketegileng. A special word of welcome is extended to Bakgatla Ba Kgafela cultural community, Kgosikgolo all the way from Mochudi, Botswana, Kgosi designate Kgosikgolo Kgafela, and what an honor it is to welcome Kgosikgolo Kgafela Kgafela II to this historic event. I now invite Kali to address us.
Good morning to you all, and especially it's an honor for me to sit right next to Kgosikgolo Kgafela, and also an honor to have your delegation here. It's indeed an honor for us to be able to extend a hand of friendship, but also that we also get a hand of friendship from yourselves. That is much appreciated. I also want to welcome everybody that's watching via live stream, especially the people from the Bakgatla Ba Kgafela community or peoples that are also watching, also with regard to AfriForum supporters and members and anybody else that is watching. I believe this today is an historic occasion, an occasion where on grassroots level, the various peoples of this country have decided to work together. AfriForum has concluded a number of agreements with other peoples in this country. And for us, this is a huge step forward, also to go into an agreement here. I also, because my English is limited, so I want to speak to AfriForum members also in Afrikaans. Indien jy as AfriForum wonder wat hier aan die gebeur is en hoekom ons spesifiek hierdie ooreenkomste sluit, is daar 'n belangrike rede, want dit is die regte ding om te doen. Dis belangrik dat ons vriendskapsbande op grondvlak smee, want ons en alle ander gemeenskappe in hierdie land wil 'n toekoms vir hulle kinders hê, 'n toekoms waarin ons veilig is en waar ons vreedsaam bly. En in daardie opsig is ooreenkomste soos hierdie van kardinale belang. Dan 'n baie belangrike ding ook van AfriForum se perspektief, maar ook vanuit Afrikaners se perspektief, moet ons nie toelaat dat ons geïsoleer word nie. Ons het die afgelope maande 'n verskerpte poging gesien van die regerende elite om AfriForum te isoleer en te probeer diskrediteer. Maar die goeie nuus is dit werk nie, want op grondvlak wil die meerderheid van mense dieselfde dinge hê en op grondvlak is daar vriendskap. Ons beleef dit elke dag in verhoudings op grondvlak en ons formaliseer dit nou om op daardie wyse vir ons nageslag 'n toekoms te help skep, maar ook vir die nageslag van die ander volke in hierdie land. Daar's ook 'n baie belangrike boodskap wat ons wil uitstuur vandag. Ons weet daar's 'n ernstige vertrouensbreuk in die land, 'n ernstige vertrouensbreuk met die regerende elite en ook die president self. En dit is belangrik dat ons besef daardie vertrouensbreuk met die regerende elite is nie 'n vertrouensbreuk met die mense van die land nie. Daarom gaan ons voort om verhoudinge te bou en 'n toekoms te skep, nie as gevolg van die regerende elite nie, maar ten spyte van die regerende elite. I also just want to state to everybody listening, we know that the people in this country have been betrayed by the ruling elite. We see it in various ways. We've seen a lot of corruption, ongoing corruption, That is a betrayal of especially the poor, but all people in this country, because we need the state resources to uplift our various communities. And the plundering of state resources has created a situation where everybody in the country can rightfully feel betrayed, especially because those that are guilty of this are not being held accountable. We are seeing maladministration in the country. This is a practical stance, something we need to say here. It has a practical implication on rural communities in terms of a collapse of service delivery. We all seeing it in our cities and towns, seeing it happen. And so we have an obligation as peoples of this country. We have an obligation towards next generations to come, but also our communities at the moment, that we say, what can we do about this? We are not at the mercy of the ruling elite. We have hands, we have a calling, and we have partners across all communities that want to make sure that we address these issues. There are also policies in the country, I think, that has a negative implications for all cultural communities. The one we are seeing at the moment is a disregard for mother tongue education. And we know we are actually stealing the future of our young people if we don't give them a chance to be taught in their mother tongue, to equip them as best possible to have a future, build a future here on the southern tip of Africa. We are seeing a disrespect for property rights, but of course that has serious implications not only for Afrikaners, but also for traditional communities where land plays a central role in the existence of those communities. So we must remember that the breach of trust that I've spoken of now is not a breach of trust with the ordinary people in this country. If we are angry with the ruling elite, we are not angry with our fellow citizens, because all our fellow citizens from all communities have a right to say this is what is happening is not acceptable. And therefore, we are looking forward to working together. This is also part of a broader initiative to build a network of cultural communities, because we're not going to be despondent. The worst thing that could happen if you see things going wrong in the country is to say, well, that's terrible and we can't do anything about it. I'm looking forward to the future because there are leaders like Kgosikgolo Kgafela that are saying we're going to take leadership in our communities. We're going to build a future that our children deserve. And today, I believe this is the start of a new era, an era where peoples of this country are extending a hand of friendship to one another. And we are grateful from AfriForum side, Kgosikgolo, that we can also receive a hand of friendship from yourself. Bharat?
Thank you very much, Kali. Sometimes one is privileged enough to experience an event that makes it worthwhile to pause in our busy lives, to truly appreciate and absorb what is happening in that moment. Today is such a day. Today is a day of healing and of restoration and of hope. The beginning of a challenging journey with joyful prospects. Our cultural communities, the Afrikaners and the Bakgatla Ba Kgafela, share a history that began in 1836, approximately 189 years ago today, this year. The early 19th century was a very difficult and challenging time for our cultural communities. Our communities' leaders of that era, Kgosi Pilane and Andries Hendrik Potgieter, established good relations and cooperation to face those challenges and ensure the prosperity of our respective cultural communities. Due to a very complex interplay of events and decisions, The relationship between our cultural communities unfortunately deteriorated and crumbled in the time of the subsequent generations, the era of Kgosikgolo and MV Pretorius, and the era of Kgosikgolo Linchwe II or Linchwe I and Paul Kruger. The pain of that time still lingers in the consciousness of many people today. One low point in the relationship between our cultural communities was the Anglo-Boer War of 1899 to 1902, where we found ourselves on opposing sides of an armed conflict. The events of the decades that follow also did not enable the restoration of the relationship between our cultural communities. Today, however, is a day of restoration and of healing. For today, after approximately 155 years, we extend our hands to one another again and commit, on the foundation of mutual recognition and respect, to work together to address the immense challenges facing our generation. As we do so, we follow in the footsteps of our ancestors. Our survival as cultural communities are threatened by assaults on our land, our cultural institutions, our cultural identity and heritage, our mother languages, and our value systems. Food insecurity, poverty, and crime wreak havoc in our communities. Economic growth and wealth creation are urgently needed. Community must and can take responsibility for their own futures. Therefore, we have decided to join forces to ensure the preservation and strengthening of cultural identity, community self-sufficiency, and cultural autonomy, and to accelerate agricultural development at grassroots level. We accept the calling to shape a future in which the generations that will follow us can peacefully coexist prosperously and in justice. The great Afrikaner philosopher and writer N.P. van Wyk Louw warned many years ago about the temptation to be content with mere existence. Today, with humility, we say, even if it means we must enter the dark night of the soul, we choose existence in justice. It is truly an honor and a privilege for us at AfriForum, as Afrikaners, to have the Bakgatla Ba Kgafela as allies, partners, and friends in carrying out this difficult but honorable mission of being the spiritual pioneers in establishing a reality where future generations can truly live life to the fullest in justice and peacefully coexist at the southern tip of our beloved Africa. Gompieno releboga modimo kaboi kokobetso. Kagone garefano jaka badirisano momo fela. Mecha pere baku ule we lebokhatsi tsari mocho kiriseti Jesu. Rebana ba modimo. Rerata kholo leboga Bakgatla Ba Kgafela khobole re amokhetse. Re tla tswelela pele go dira ka natla go netefatsa gore tirisano mmogo ene e solegela ditsaba tsa rona molemo ka bobedi. Gompieno ke tlotla bo eteledipele jwa bopelokgale jwa ga Kgosikgolo Kgafela. Ekete modimo a ka tswelela pele gore se go fatsa le bana ba rona ka kamano eno e e simolotsweng ke bagologolwane ba rona. Ke lo leboga tata. It is my privilege to invite Kgosi to introduce and give the floor to Kgosikgolo Kgafela Kgafela II.
Thank you, MC. Let me greet firstly our Paramount Chief and his son, together with the delegation which I'm coming with. We are here with Kgosikgolo Kgafela of Bakgatla Ba Kgafela together with his uncle. Let me recognize him also. And the honored people of AfriForum. I don't have a list of your names and your positions, but let me say I'm so pleased to be with you today for the action or the steps that are going to be taken today concerning Bakgatla Ba Kgafela and AfriForum. The truth of the story is that things has been happening in a very, very bad attitude, looking at the incidences which we find today concerning the governance of the present government towards the public. Now, it's very, very interesting to look at the history of Bakgatla Ba Kgafela and Afrikaners, where we read in the history about Paul Kruger, who ill-treated our paramount chief Kamanyani. But now we have found it possible for us now to come into reconciliation, which will lead us to the true life and the favorable conditions of a life concerning human being. I'm so pleased to come and join you from all the way from Botswana. I'm the overseer of the tribe of Kgosikgolo Kgafela in Botswana. Now, briefly, I can say that no, I'm so pleased, and let's pray God to unify us throughout our lives, so that our grandchildren see a better opportunities on the aim in all the aims which our paramount chief found it possible to come and sit down with you and have a way plan forward. With all those short words, I can say I'm so pleased, and I can pass now to our paramount chief to do closing remarks. Thank you, Kgosi.
Bakgatla beso ke a le dumedisa ke re sedibelo. The Afrikaner community of South Africa, Maguru, that's what we call you, represented by AfriForum. I greet you this morning by the salutation of Sidibelo. Today is a very special day. In fact, I can say that in my calendar of leadership, since I ascended the throne, it is the most special day following the day of my coronation. It's a special day for me personally, and it's a special day for my tribe, and it's a special day for the partners who we shake hands with today. Therefore, it's important that what we are going to say, what has been said by AfriForum leadership and what I'm going to say, that people understand and try to appreciate what we are doing and why we are doing it. Let me start first by introducing myself, because I cannot assume that everybody who is listening to, who's watching this presentation knows me or knows Bakgatla Ba Kgafela. Although I have done videos, I've appeared in the social media platform where I've introduced myself and I've introduced Bakgatla Challenge, but I think it's appropriate that I must briefly introduce myself and my tribe. My name, as you have heard, is Kgafela Kgafela II. In terms of title, they call me Kgosikgolo, meaning great chief, great leader, or the apex leader. Kgosikgolo Kgafela II meaning the king of Bakgatla Ba Kgafela, a tribal community based in Botswana and South Africa. My father, Kgosikgolo II, descends from a lineage of Bakgatla kings going back to Kgosikgolo II the first, Kgosi Khamanyane, Kgosi Pilane, way back to Kgosi Matshego. My son here, Kgosi Matshego, is named after that Kgosi Matshego, who we originate from with Kgosi Nchaupe of Bakgatla Ba Kgafela. My father comes from that lineage of Bakgatla kings. My father's role in the establishment of the new South Africa of 1994 is historical knowledge that Kgosikgolo II, from 1975 to 1994, hosted the comrades, ANC comrades who were fighting in the armed struggle, PAC comrades who were fighting in the armed struggle, and also the liberation soldiers from Rhodesia. All of them know Kgosikgolo II. So my family comes from that history. And my siblings, we spent all our childhood lives in boarding school. We didn't grow up with our parents. We grew up in boarding school from standard 1 right until the end of our education. Because my father was keeping ANC guns and ammunition in his house. He was central to the distribution of arms in the sub-region for the sake of the armed struggle. My father also hosted in his village, Mushudi, the armed struggle refugees. My father kept them in his village. All of them have enjoyed his hospitality. The ANC has enjoyed my father's hospitality. So his role in the road to independence 1994 is historical knowledge. My mother, who has passed away, her name was Kathleen Maragao Motsepe. She comes from the Motsepe clan. She was the First Lady's first cousin. So where I stand today, I can say to you that the First Lady of this country is my auntie, and her siblings are my uncles or my aunties. So I come from that lineage of the elite. I was crowned king on the 20th of September 2008. That is when I resumed my duties, and I came to South Africa in 2012 to address tribal issues. Professionally, I'm a lawyer. I'm a trained lawyer. I practiced law in Botswana courts for 10 years. I'm also a family man, a man with a wife and 3 children. I've been in South Africa since 2012 to deal with my tribe's challenges. And for 13 years, I've struggled with my tribe, Bakgatla Ba Kgafela, against injustice. perpetuated upon my tribe by the ruling elite. My tribe has suffered the worst violation of human rights at the hands of the ruling elite. Violation of property rights, violation of dignity, violation of our heritage, very violent violation of our heritage, where the ruling elite, and specifically the African National Congress, has confiscated my throne and handed it over to the Al-Qaeda deployee. They've prevented us, the tribal leadership, from ruling our tribe. There has been murder amongst my community and much crime. Altogether, may be summarized in just a few words. And these words are that our tribal community finds itself under siege. Under siege that threatens our very existence as a tribal community. So much to a point where the leadership of our tribal community, that is myself and my son, find ourselves in exile. We are in exile from the Northwest Province because of threats to our lives by the African National Congress sponsored mafia groups in the Northwest. I've been in exile in the Western Cape because the Western Cape is the only province which is not controlled by the ANC. Therefore, if anything were to happen to me in the Western Cape, there is at least hope that it will be investigated thoroughly, as opposed to if it happened in any other province. So in our situation, as I've summarized it, we find ourselves in the same boat as perhaps the Afrikaner community, who have legitimate concerns about their existence, who feel that their existence is threatened as we feel that our existence is threatened. Our history with the Afrikaners is written in many history books. That painful history of 150 years. I don't wish to rehash that today. Because today, as I say, it's a special day. It's a day where, despite all that history, we Bakgatla have decided that we don't want to be angry anymore. We are not angry anymore at the Afrikaners for what happened in the past. And we don't want to be angry at that. We don't hate the Afrikaners. We don't hate anyone. The only thing that comes close to hate in our hearts is the hatred for hate itself. The hatred for injustice. The hatred of mediocrity. The hatred of crime. The hatred of everything that seeks to destroy our heritage. If at all hate is in our heart, it can be the hatred for that alone. The hatred for hate itself, the hatred for fear. Fear which brings about hate. That life of injustice, that life of crime, that life of total destruction of everything that stands for the goodness of humanity. That life which the ruling elite of this country is imposing upon us Bakgatla, upon the Afrikaners, and upon all the citizens of South Africa. It's that which we hate and that which we reject with all our hearts. We, as responsible leaders of our various tribal communities, and as responsible leaders of destiny, as I indicated earlier that my father played a role that led to 1994, we have a role too, which leads into the future which God has laid out his hands for us as a human race. We have a duty to lead our tribes and to lead our people towards that future, a future of light, a future where truth, justice, and love reign, and a future where there is no space at all, absolutely no space for hatred. Hatred will retreat and retreat into his corner. And that corner, that dark corner for hatred, will become narrower and narrower and narrower until all the law-abiding citizens of this country, all the citizens who have love in their hearts, will see hatred isolated and vanish from our lives totally. Therefore, today, as I said, it's a special day. We are going to shake hands with the Afrikaner community. A very important handshake. A handshake of destiny. But before we do that, before I conclude, there's something I wish to share with you, which is of a spiritual nature. Very deeply spiritual nature. Anybody who knows and believes that the earth, this planet that we have been given the privilege to have a life experience on, this earth, Mother Earth, is alive. It's not dead matter. She is as alive as the elephant, as you and I. The sun is alive as you and I, the elephant and the dog. The universe is alive. It's this universe that I call God. And this universe has a language. Has a language which has a dialect or many dialects. And one of those dialects, it's called coincidence. The language of coincidence. Two years ago, I accidentally met a man called Paul Kruger, Stephanus Paul Kruger. I met him by accident. That same Paul Kruger of 150 years old. 150 years ago, the same Paul Kruger who whipped me, Kamanyani, and humiliated me in the presence of my tribe. That same Paul Kruger who caused us pain appeared in our lives 2 years ago. This man who I met called Paul Kruger, he's the 6th generation for General Paul Kruger who whipped my forefather Kamanyani. And I'm the 6th generation of Kgosikgolo. I think of all the things that I've said today and all the things that I will ever say concerning our union with the Afrikaners today, the most telling of all of them is this coincidence of my meeting with General Paul Kruger. And we shook hands when we met 2 years ago. That handshake was the first handshake of destiny. And today we'll make the second handshake of destiny. I wish Mr. Paul Kruger, because he's here, I've invited him. I wish that he stands up so that everybody can see him. The sign of nature, of the universe, that has come through to me, to us as Bakgatla, through this gentleman, was a clear sign that we should do what we are doing today. And we should do what we are doing today with the greatest confidence that it is approved from the very, very high of the highest powers, being the universe herself, by the sign language that she has communicated this to us. Therefore, with that, I say to you, my African friends, that Bakgatla will give you love, henceforth to the end of time, and Bakgatla will receive your love. You are free to roam all Bakgatla land in South Africa and in Botswana. And we look forward, we look forward to working together for purposes of advancing every objective that is stated in our written agreement. I look forward to us working together to advancing every objective that is stated in our written agreement. And my hope, our hope, is that in the near future, we will, us together with you and the other tribal communities who we will invite to this union, because that's what we intend to do. We intend to invite all the tribal communities of Northwest, the Tswana-speaking tribal communities of Northwest, into this union, because many of them suffer the same challenges as us Bakgatla, although maybe not as extreme as us, where the leadership of Bakgatla is now in exile. But they do, and we intend to invite them into this union, such that we, the people, take charge of our destiny. We do not leave our destiny in the hands of politicians, but we take charge of our destiny. With that, amodimo o nne le lona lotlhe ba le reditseng bokgabo ke tsa go le nkutlwile ka gore di itse sekgowa bontsi ba lona ka tsheko ke letsatsi le kgethilweng ke modimo a ka ke le supeditse gore Paulo o teng fa Paulo ene o na le sotla o teng fa Paulo re mo itshwaretse Paulo ga ra motlhowa mabudu ga ra ba tlhowa ba amogeleng mo metseng ya lona ba amogeleng mo dipelong tsa lona ka lerato la modimo a re kopanneng rotlhe batho ba ba ratang modimo batho ba ba ratang tshiamo a re kopanneng go kgarametsa letlho re kgarametse go itlhele letlho le tswa mo matshelong a rona rotlhe batho ba ratang modimo sedibelo
Thank you very much, Kgosikgolo. We will now go ahead and sign the agreement. If I can just ask the witnesses to also come up to sign as witnesses to the agreement, please. All the witnesses that signed witness to come and stand behind Kgosikgolo and
Thank you.
There you go.
okay. I think should we put that sit? Okay. Okay.
Should we sit? Sign sitting. Okay, sorry.
Will we do the handshake after?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much, my brother. Yes. Yeah, this is good, man. Yes.
Okay, this brings us to the end of this part of the media conference. So there's now an opportunity for any media present to ask questions, or if we've got questions from online. Okay. No questions from the media. So that brings us to a conclusion of this very special event. Thank you so much for everybody that attended. Kia leboga, baie dankie.
Thank you very much. So, the 10 minutes, the 10 seconds thing, it's okay. Are we done now?